At the beginning of the story, Yao was a struggling novelist who began writing a modern-day romantic fantasy at her editor's demand. In her story, she imagines herself as an it girl who can captivate any rich man with her beauty as long as they look into her eyes, and is on a mission to ruin a cheating rich man's life on his wife's demand. Meanwhile, at the same club, a con man named Chen was on a mission to retrieve his target's blood by using an auto-shattering glass. Things take a twisted turn when the drugged drink that Yao was going to use gets swapped with this glass, and Yao's target breaks free from her spell thanks to the injury. Chen still manages to trip and injure his target to retrieve his blood, but things begin to look ugly for Yao as a bunch of wannabe men in black follow after her, and she's only saved when Chen pushes her to a wall and they fake a kiss. As soon as she's safe, she pushes him away and calls him a weirdo and makes her escape. Later, she returns home to join her partners in crime, Shen and Ji Cheng, and they celebrate their victory. Meanwhile, Chen makes his appearance at a billion-dollar company, claiming to be the chairman's missing son, Cheng, who allegedly died in a house fire a few years ago. The chairman doesn't believe him, but he proves it with a DNA test, using the blood he took from his other son that night before. Once his identity was proven, Chen uses Cheng's mother's will to become the company's CEO, but there was a catch. He needs the necklace with her seal to make it happen, which he doesn't have, and he has to do so within a week. Meanwhile, Yao's team receives a job offer to retrieve this necklace from him, and she swears to make him cry once she recognizes him as the weirdo from the club. The following day, while calculating where this necklace might be, Chen recalls how he was playing with Cheng when the fire broke out, but only survived because he was hiding in a closet. The fire took away Cheng, his mother, and Chen's father, and Quinn later discovered a cufflink at the site. This, plus the silhouette he saw from the closet, made him believe that the attack was deliberate, so now he's returned with the idea of revenge. He further recalls that Cheng gave his mother's necklace to his childhood sweetheart, and decides to find this girl. Meanwhile, after visiting her comatose mother, Yao heads to a climbing gym and targets Chen with her magic charm, only to be completely thrown off when it doesn't work. While she loses sleep over this, Chen's team uses an online poll to shortlist girls who grew up on Chen's island, and Yao applies to this since she luckily spent her entire childhood there. On interview day, Chen notices her and instantly crosses her name off the final list since she finds her feisty, despite all her answers being correct thanks to Ji Cheng's hacking skills. When she protests against this, the guards kick her out. However, she makes a flashy comeback later when the other candidates struggle to correctly answer Chen's questions, and after calling him a spineless playboy, answers his question correctly, proving that she indeed is the girl that they've been looking for. She played hard to get and leaves the gymnasium at once, and the speechless Chen follows right after her. Once outside, she spots some thugs and assumes it's the work of her dependable friends who hired these actors to make her look like a damsel in distress for Chen to rescue. However, things take an ugly turn when these guys turn out to be real thugs sent by the last guy that she's scammed. Luckily, before they could do any harm, Chen comes to her rescue and beats them all up before handing them to the police. Charmed by this, Yao later thanks him while she bandages the injury on his arm, and Chen apologizes for his behavior at the nightclub. The following day, Chen arrives at Yao's flower shop and takes her out on a date, with hopes of getting his hands on the necklace that he assumes that she's wearing. However, even after insisting that she wears a revealing neckline and dancing together with the lights out, he's only disappointed to find that there's a different necklace. His night is ruined even further when the rich narcissist Shang Xi, who is under Yao's spell, crashes their date with a display of fire, something that triggers Chen's trauma from the past. Unable to deal with it, he flees from the restaurant, and the next day, Yao asks him out on a swimming date in hopes of either seeing him wearing the necklace or finding it in his locker, only for her plans to get ruined by his full-body swimsuit. This further takes the wrong turn when her legs begin cramping in the cold swimming pool, and Chen has to to rescue her and take her to the hospital. There, while waiting for medical aid, Chin finds out about her mother and how she hasn't woken up in the last 10 years after suffering a car accident, and also covers Yao's eyes when she feels frightened by the cannula. Later, when he drops her off at home, Yao forces Ji Cheng to escape through the window and tries to get Chin to leave as soon as possible. However, he insists on staying until she's better, with the ulterior motive to look for the necklace at her house. Meanwhile, Chin's sidekicks, Son and Jiang, who are observing the scene from afar, spot an almost naked Ji Cheng entering the shop, and Song decides to hold him back. Jiang also gets into action when Shen approaches the house, and while trying to keep her at bay, tears off her limited edition idol merch. While he suffers from her wrath, Song rizzes up Ji Cheng, and he falls head over heels in love with her. On the other hand, before leaving, Chin spots a photo of a doll from her childhood wearing the necklace he's looking for. That night, both of them recall scenes from their date and giggle like lovesick idiots. The next day, Chin takes her on a trip to their island, and while talking to him, Yao realizes he doesn't have Cheng's memories and is only making things up. She brushes it off and takes him to the lighthouse that they used to hang out at, and while talking to him about how her mother's accident changed her life forever, hums Cheng's favorite song to him. They head to her old house and stay for a while before catching the last ferry, only for Yao to fall asleep under the heavy burden of sad memories. Chin refuses to wake her up either and chooses to take the earliest morning boat to return for his inauguration as the CEO in time, now that he has the seal within arm's length. Yao wakes up the next morning only to discover that Chin has already returned, along with the necklace that her doll was wearing. This is when everything starts to make sense to her, and she realizes that he's an imposter who's posing as Cheng. With this discovery, she crashes his inauguration ceremony. However, now that Chin was rich, he instantly falls under her love spell and kisses her before she gets to reveal the truth. As this news makes headlines, Yao returns home and her team finds out about Chin's true identity. On top of it all, their mysterious client turns out to be Cheng's evil uncle, who offers to continue paying Yao in exchange for information on Chin's actions, an offer that she accepts. That night, Jiang arrives at the flower shop to offer a check to Yao in exchange for the necklace, but she takes the matter to Chin, who was waiting in a car outside. She takes advantage of her superpowers on the poor, smitten man and forces him to continue dating her. The next morning, Chin's attempt to become one of the company's directors fails thanks to Cheng's uncle, and this infuriates him since he must land this position if he wants to find out who the custom-made company-offered cufflink he found at the accident site belongs to. Later that day, with Shen's help, Yao bombards Chin with cute stickers of herself as she asks him out on a date. Meanwhile, Chin struggles to fathom her cuteness and struggles to find the best way to reply. He seeks Jiang's help, only for him to delete her contact number and deduce that Chin's newly found obsession with Yao has something to do with the inheritance money he has received. However, before they can conclude anything, Yao shows up and forces Chin to take her to a planetarium for their date. There they hold hands like a normal couple, mess around with space merch, and take funny photos. Later, when they observe the star show, Yao takes Chin's phone to confirm their relationship on the chat app, enabling them to see each other's info. Later, he accidentally exposes the burn marks on his hand, making Yao wonder if he really is Cheng, but she brushes it off and sticks a sticker of a nebula on the scar, stating that whenever she looks at it, his scars remind her of how beautiful the galaxy is. The next day, Yao prepares a lunchbox for Chin and heads to his workplace. After he finishes the garbage food with a forced smile on his face, he leaves the room to observe her on the CCTV. True to his suspicion, she looks into his files and finds a ticket for tomorrow's flight and takes a picture of it. While she wonders whether he plans on leaving and feels anxious about it, Ji Cheng sends this photo to Cheng's uncle, who suspects that Chin was fleeing with the company's money, especially since the of funds in his accounts have been transferred to Song. With this info, he takes the chairman to the airport, and meanwhile, Yao rushes to the airport as well in hopes of finding Chin before they do. It turns out that Chin was only meeting with a potential billionaire to invest in their company, and he ends up winning their chairman's favor instead. By the time Yao gets there, everything has settled, but Chin tells her everything they've done up to now was completely fake, and he doesn't feel anything for a traitor like her. That afternoon, the chairman takes Chin to a matchmaking party with a girl Cheng was friends with as a kid, but he fears she might discover his true identity if she sticks too close, and evades the situation by lying that he's already married to Yao. To bring this lie to reality, he rushes to the flower shop and drags her to the marriage bureau with two choices. Either she marries him right now, or he takes her contract with Cheng's uncle to the police. Obviously, she chooses the former, and the two of them end up being legally married. The next day, a frustrated Yao calls Chin to a fairway location and demands he return her contact now that she's married him. When Chin's team gets there, Yao's team accidentally ends up catching Zhang, only to later discover that they have the wrong guy. Seeing Zhang's face blow a fuse in Shen's brain, and while they argue, he accidentally trips with a barrel falling on his face. As Shen rushes him to the hospital, Zishan drags Song to the place where they had their first encounter, and Quinn and Yao are left without any vehicle except a bicycle. While poking fun at Chen for having no means of commute, Yao ends up falling off her bike and hurting herself, and although Chen wants to laugh and leave her right there, he falls under her spell once again as soon as his money returns to his account, and ends up picking her up princess style and later cycles them back home. This is all about Chen and Yao's contract relationship for now. Leave a comment down below if you want us to continue this story, and make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let us know which story you'd like to see next, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next video.